You know what's funny? We've been lied to about saving money, not in the way you think. I'm not talking about some conspiracy theory. I'm talking about something way more personal. Something that's probably sitting in your bank account right now, making you feel proud, while quietly stealing your future. Let me paint you a picture. You're sitting there, tracking every dollar. You switch to the cheaper gym. You're eating meal prep from last Sunday. You said no to that conference because it was $400. You declined coffee with someone who works in your dream industry because, well, $12 adds up, right? And your savings account? It's growing, slowly. You feel disciplined, responsible, smart, even. But here's the thing nobody tells you. While you're saving those $12, someone else is having that coffee. They're making a connection. 6 months later, that connection becomes a job offer, or a business partnership, or just an idea that changes everything. And you? You're still meal prepping, still proud of your savings, still stuck. I need to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. There are 3 categories in your budget where spending less is actually making you poorer. Not just financially poorer. I'm talking about a poverty of opportunity, a poverty of health, a poverty of the person you could become. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain goes against everything you've been taught about money. But I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see your budget completely differently. Here's where most people get budgeting wrong. We treat every dollar the same. We think cutting expenses is always good. More savings equals more security. It's simple math, right? Wrong, because not all spending is equal. Some expenses are just that, expenses. They leave your life the moment you pay for them. Your Netflix subscription? Gone. That new phone case? Gives you nothing back. These are what I call dead-end dollars. They exit your life and never return. But then, there are 3 categories that everyone tells you to cut, but cutting them is like cutting off your own oxygen supply. These aren't expenses. They're investments disguised as expenses. And the difference between people who break through financially and people who stay stuck often comes down to whether they can tell the difference. The 3 categories? Education, health, and networking. I know what you're thinking, but I can't afford to spend more. I'm barely making it as it is. I hear you. I've been there. I've been the person eating rice and beans while my friends went out. I've been the person who said no to everything because I was terrified of going broke. But here's what I learned the hard way. There's a difference between being cheap and being strategic. Being cheap means cutting everything. Being strategic means knowing which cuts destroy your future and which ones protect it. Let me show you what I mean. Let's start with education, because this one hits different. When I say education, I'm not talking about going back to school for another degree. I'm not talking about $100,000 in student loans. I'm talking about something much simpler and much more powerful. Investing in skills that compound. Here's the psychology behind why we avoid this. A course costs $300. A book costs $30. A workshop costs $500. We look at that price tag and think, that's too much. I can learn this free on YouTube. And yes, you can learn almost anything for free now. But here's what free learning doesn't give you. Structure, accountability, community, and most importantly, speed. Think about it like this. You want to learn graphic design. You could spend 6 months watching random YouTube videos, getting confused, starting over, losing motivation. Or you could spend $300 on a structured course and learn it in 6 weeks. What's more expensive? The $300 or the 4.5 months you lost? Because here's the truth about time. You can always make more money, but you can't make more time. Every month you spend fumbling around for free is a month you're not earning from that skill. It's a month someone else is getting ahead. Let me give you a real example. Let's say you're working a job that pays $40,000 a year. You're comfortable, but stuck. You know that learning data analysis could get you into a $60,000 role, maybe higher. A good data analysis course costs around $500. You look at that and think, I can't afford that right now. But let's do the actual math. If that course takes you 3 months to complete and gets you a job that pays even $15,000 more per year, that's $1,250 extra per month. The course paid for itself in less than 2 weeks of your new salary. But it gets better. That's not a one-time payment. That's every month, for years. That $500 investment could easily add $100,000 to your lifetime earnings. Probably way more. Yet we'll spend $500 on a weekend trip without blinking. We'll spend it on clothes, on a new phone, on things that give us nothing back. Here's the shift I want you to make. Stop seeing education as an expense. Start seeing it as buying a better version of yourself. You're not spending money. You're compressing time. And I'm not just talking about career skills. I'm talking about anything that makes you more capable. Public speaking, writing, financial literacy, negotiation. These aren't luxuries. They're leverage. The people who get ahead aren't smarter than you. They just invested in becoming capable faster than you did. Now, let's talk about health, because this one is even more misunderstood. We treat health spending like it's optional, like it's something we'll get to when we have more money. The good gym membership? Too expensive. The organic vegetables? Overpriced. The trainer or the therapist? Not in the budget. So we go cheap. We get the $10 gym membership we never use. We eat whatever's on sale. We ignore the stress. We tell ourselves we'll take care of it later. But here's what's actually happening. You're borrowing from your future self. Every week you eat poorly because it's cheaper. You're taking out a loan against your energy. Every month you skip the dentist. You're accumulating interest on a problem that's growing. Every year you ignore your mental health. You're compounding anxiety that will eventually cost you way more than therapy ever would. I want you to think about your body and mind like a car. If you own a car worth $30,000, you maintain it, right? You change the oil. You fix small problems before they become big ones. You don't wait until the engine explodes. Your body is worth infinitely more than $30,000. It's the vehicle that carries you through every single day of your life. Every opportunity, every experience, every dollar you'll ever earn depends on it working. Yet we treat it like a rental car we're about to return. Here's the economic reality that nobody talks about. Your health is your income. If you're too tired to focus, you make mistakes. If you're too stressed to think clearly, you miss opportunities. If you're sick, you literally can't work. I learned this the hard way. A few years ago, I was grinding, working 12-hour days, eating fast food because it was quick and cheap, sleeping 5 hours, skipping the gym to save time and money. I thought I was being productive. I thought I was hustling smart. Then my body gave out. Chronic fatigue, brain fog. I couldn't concentrate. I was at my desk, but I wasn't really working. I was just there, barely functioning. It took me 6 months to recover. 6 months of lost productivity, lost opportunities, lost income, and the medical bills to fix what I'd broken? Way more than a gym membership and decent food would have cost. Here's what I want you to understand. Spending money on health isn't an expense. It's preventative insurance. You're not buying overpriced salads. You're buying energy, focus, longevity, the ability to actually execute on your goals. A good gym membership isn't $70 a month. It's an investment in not losing $10,000 a year in productivity. Therapy isn't $150 per session. It's an investment in not making decisions from a place of anxiety that cost you tens of thousands. The wealthiest people I know don't skip health spending. They prioritize it because they understand that all the money in the world means nothing if you're too burned out or sick to enjoy it. And now, the big one. The one that makes people the most uncomfortable. Networking. We hate this word. It feels slimy, transactional, like you're using people. But let me reframe it for you, because networking isn't about using people. It's about being around people who expand what you think is possible. Here's the truth. Your network is your net worth. Not in some cheesy motivational way. In a very literal, very measurable way. Most opportunities don't come from job boards. They come from someone who knows someone. Most business ideas don't come from sitting alone. They come from conversations. Most breakthroughs don't happen in isolation. They happen when you're exposed to people who think differently than you. But networking costs money. The conference ticket, the dinner, the coffee meeting, the membership to that professional group. And when you're on a tight budget, these feel like luxuries. So you say no. You stay home. You save the money. But here's what you're actually doing. You're isolating yourself from opportunity. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was invited to a small industry dinner. $50 to attend. I almost didn't go because $50 felt like a lot at the time. I was tracking every expense, trying to save. But something made me go. Maybe curiosity. Maybe loneliness. I don't know. I sat next to someone I'd never met. We talked about a problem I was facing. He mentioned a solution I'd never considered. That conversation led to a freelance project. That project paid me $4,000. $50 turned into $4,000. But it's not even about the money. That person became a friend, a mentor, someone who's opened doors I didn't even know existed. That's what networking does. It doesn't just give you transactions. It gives you access to information, to opportunities, to people who can change your trajectory. And here's the thing about access. You can't Google your way into it. You can't earn your way into it from your bedroom. You have to show up. And showing up costs money. Now, I'm not saying go into debt to attend every event. I'm saying be strategic. Choose the rooms that matter. Invest in being around people who are where you want to be. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The people who make it aren't necessarily more talented. They're just more connected. They know the right people. They hear about opportunities before they're public. They get referrals. They get advice that saves them years of trial and error. You can be incredibly talented and work incredibly hard. But if you're isolated, you'll always be starting from scratch. You'll always be fighting alone. So here's the turning point. Here's where this all comes together. Traditional budgeting tells you to minimize spending everywhere. Cut, save, save, save. And yes, you should absolutely cut the dead-end dollars. The subscriptions you don't use. The impulse purchases. The lifestyle inflation that gives you nothing back. But reverse budgeting? It flips the script. Reverse budgeting says, identify the 3 categories that build your future: education, health, networking, and spend more there. Intentionally. Strategically. Even if it means spending less everywhere else. It's not about being reckless. It's about recognizing that some spending is actually planting seeds. And if you never plant seeds because you're too busy hoarding them, you'll never have a harvest. Think about it this way. You have $1,000. Traditional budgeting says save all of it. Reverse budgeting says, keep $700 in savings, but spend $300 on things that grow you. Maybe it's a course. Maybe it's a gym membership you'll actually use. Maybe it's taking someone to lunch who works in your dream field. That $300 isn't gone. It's working. It's building skills. It's building health. It's building relationships. And those 3 things are what actually create wealth. Here's how you actually do this. First, audit your current spending. Look at the last 3 months. How much did you spend on education? On health? On meaningful connections? If the answer is 0 or close to it, that's your problem. You're not investing in yourself. You're just surviving. Second, set a minimum. Decide that every month, no matter what, you'll allocate something to these 3 categories. Even if it's small. $50 toward learning, 50 toward health, 50 toward networking. It doesn't have to be huge. It just has to be intentional. Third, when opportunities come up in these categories, say yes more often. Not to everything, but to the things that scare you a little. The course that feels expensive but could change your career. The event where you don't know anyone but the right people will be there. The trainer or therapist you've been avoiding. Those are the investments that compound. And fourth, track the return. Not just financially, but holistically. Did that course land you a client? Did the gym membership give you more energy? Did that networking event lead to a conversation that shifted how you think? When you start seeing the returns, it becomes easier to spend more because you're not spending. You're investing. Look, I get it. This isn't easy, especially if money is tight, especially if you've been taught that saving is always good and spending is always bad. But I need you to understand something. You are your most important asset, not your savings account, not your car, not your house. You. And assets need to be maintained. They need to be upgraded. They need to be invested in. If you're not willing to invest in yourself, in your skills, your health, your connections, then who will? The people who break through financially aren't the ones who save the most. They're the ones who invested in becoming more valuable, more capable, more connected, more healthy. And yeah, that costs money. But staying stuck? That costs way more. So here's my challenge to you. This month, find one thing in each category. One educational investment. One health investment. One networking opportunity. It doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be intentional. And watch what happens. Not overnight, but over time. Because the best investment you'll ever make isn't in the stock market. It's in the person staring back at you in the mirror. If this shifted how you think about money, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see more content about the psychology of wealth, not just the mechanics, drop a like. It helps more people find this. Thanks for watching. Now go invest in yourself.